It started innocently enough, a simple search for a forgotten memory, but it led me to a truth so twisted, it ripped my entire world apart. I need to get this off my chest. It all began a few weeks back. My 10th anniversary with Claire was approaching, and I wanted to find this old picture of us, a truly perfect one from our first trip together. The screen glows in the dim light of my study, a mosaic of thumbnail images from our shared cloud storage. My mouse drifts over folders labeled with years and events. 2014, Italy adventure, Claire's graduation, our wedding day, and so on. The laptop's fan hums a soft, rhythmic lullaby, the only sound in the quiet house save for the occasional, familiar creak of floorboards as the old place settles. I'm on a mission. That picture. Claire was wearing this ridiculously oversized, adorable sun hat, and we were both gloriously sunburned but beaming, radiating pure, unadulterated happiness. I envisioned it as the centerpiece for our anniversary card, a sort of "look how far we've come" kind of message. A testament to our journey, I click on the folder marked 2014, then navigate to another one labeled Summer Lakeside Escape. My eyes scan through the grid of photos. There are dozens. Us by the shimmering water, candid shots with friends, breathtaking sunsets over the distant hills. But not the one. My finger, restless with anticipation, scrolls quickly down the page, and that's when it catches my eye. An anomaly. An odd, out-of-place screenshot wedged between a picture of Claire wrestling with a monstrously large ice cream cone, and another of us awkwardly attempting to build a sandcastle, both of us laughing. The screenshot is of a news article, almost a decade old, its headline sending a jolt of pure ice through me. Local woman found brutally murdered in Blackwood Ravine Park. A sudden, suffocating tightness grips my chest. Blackwood Ravine Park. That's a place Claire and I have visited countless times. It's a popular spot for picnics, for quiet jogs, for families to spend serene weekend afternoons. We'd often talked about how peaceful it was, with its tall, ancient trees and winding pathways, almost like a sanctuary. My heart begins to pound, a frantic drumbeat against my ribs. I click on the screenshot to view it in full size. The article, dated 9 years ago, details a woman with characteristics eerily similar to Claire. The same height, the same striking auburn hair, the same subtle birthmark just behind her left ear, a detail so small, so personal, it makes my breath catch. But the most unsettling part, the detail that makes the blood drain from my face, is the mention of a unique, hand-carved wooden pendant found on the victim. A pendant that bears a striking resemblance to one Claire wears almost constantly, a gift from her late grandmother. A silver chain holding a small, intricate carving of an oak leaf. The timestamp on the screenshot glares back at me, 3:47 a.m. My face flushes with a mix of confusion and a cold, creeping dread. Neither Claire nor I are night owls. We're typically asleep by midnight, sometimes even earlier. There's no conceivable reason this screenshot should be here, saved at such an odd, impossible hour. I lean back in my chair, the worn leather creaking softly beneath me, trying desperately to make sense of it all. Questions swirl in my mind, a chaotic maelstrom. How did this screenshot end up in our shared cloud storage? Why was it saved at a time when both of us should have been deep in sleep? And most importantly, why does the victim in this disturbing article resemble my wife so closely, down to the most intimate details? I know I have to talk to Claire about this. It's too big, too strange, too profoundly unsettling to ignore. But how do you even begin a conversation like that? Hey, I found an article about a murdered woman who looks just like you. Wanna chat about it? The absurdity of it makes my stomach churn. Yet I can't shake the feeling that this screenshot, this decade-old article, is a piece of a puzzle I'm not sure I want to complete. Every fiber of my being screams for an explanation. Even as a part of me recoils from what that explanation might entail, I glance at the antique clock on the wall. It's almost dinner time. Claire is in the kitchen. I can hear her humming a tune, a familiar, cheerful melody, mingled with the gentle clinking of pots and pans. My mind races as I ponder how to approach her. The logical part of me urges caution, but the raw fear gnaws at my resolve. I decide to close my laptop, the screen going dark, plunging the room into deeper shadow, and head into the kitchen. "Hey, how's dinner coming along?" I ask, forcing my voice to sound casual, almost lighthearted. I lean against the kitchen counter, watching her. Her back is turned to me as she stirs something on the stove. She looks the same flowing auburn hair, pulled back haphazardly, the same focused intensity when she's cooking, a slight furrow in her brow. But the screenshot has lodged a splinter of doubt deep in my mind, making this ordinary domestic moment feel heavy, laden with a terrifying uncertainty. "Almost ready, Alex," she replies, her voice soft. "Just finishing up the sauce." The aroma of garlic and herbs fills the air, comforting and familiar, yet it does little to calm the unease swirling within me. Finally, as we sit down to eat, the quiet clinking of cutlery the only sound, I muster the courage to speak. My fork hovers over my plate untouched. "Claire," I begin, my voice a little rougher than I intended, "can we talk about something a bit unusual?" She puts her fork down, her gaze steady, observant. "Sure, Alex. What's on your mind?" I take a deep, shaky breath, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "I was looking for that old vacation photo today, the one from our first trip, for the anniversary card. And I came across a screenshot in our cloud storage. It's an old news article about a woman who was murdered. The strange thing is, she looks a lot like you." My eyes search hers, desperate for a flicker of understanding, a hint of recognition. And the article was saved at 3:47 a.m., which doesn't make sense because we were both asleep at that time. Do you know anything about it?" Claire's eyes narrow, almost imperceptibly, but her voice remains surprisingly steady, even-keeled. "That's odd. Maybe it was just some sort of glitch. Or maybe you saved it accidentally, Alex. You know how easy it is to hit the wrong button on your phone, especially when you're scrolling through old files." "Yeah, but this article is 9 years old," I counter, my voice rising slightly, the carefully constructed calm starting to fracture. "It was saved at a time when neither of us would have been awake, and in a folder mixed with our vacation pictures. It's deeply unsettling, Claire." I look directly into her eyes, searching for some sign of recognition, guilt, anything that would give me an answer. "That is strange," she admits, her lips forming a thoughtful line. "But I have no idea how it got there. Maybe one of us saved it unknowingly while half asleep, or maybe it was a cached image from an old browser history that somehow got uploaded to the cloud. We should probably just delete it, Alex. It sounds like a morbid mistake." I nod, though I'm far from convinced. "All right," I say, the word feeling hollow. "I'll get rid of it. But it's really unsettling, you know." "Yeah, I can imagine," she says, her gaze drifting towards the window, a distant look in her eyes that makes me profoundly uneasy. We finish our meal in near silence, both lost in our own thoughts. A heavy curtain of unspoken suspicion has fallen between us. I can't shake the feeling that something isn't right, that her answers were too easy, too dismissive. After dinner, Claire acts like her normal self, or at least, like the Claire I know. She even suggests we watch a movie together, an old romantic comedy we both loved. But the woman next to me on the couch, laughing at the funny scenes, feels like a stranger. Her laughter sounds different, forced, a little too loud. Her choice of movie is one she's never shown interest in before, a B-list thriller about alien abduction she'd always scoffed at. It's unsettling. As we head to bed, my mind is a whirlpool of doubt and suspicion. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to Claire's slow, even breaths beside me. A horrifying thought takes root. Who is the woman next to me? Is she the Claire I fell in love with, or someone or something else? The next few days are an emotional roller coaster. I'm constantly on edge, my mind a tangled mess of thoughts I can't seem to straighten out. It feels like I'm stuck in this relentless loop of confusion and suspicion, with no clear way out. The screenshot of that news article is the root of it all. Just seeing it for the first time was like getting hit by a sledgehammer of doubt and fear. To try and make sense of it all, I take a closer, more obsessive look at the article. I sit down at my computer, hours after Claire has gone to bed, and open the screenshot. I zoom in, pixel by pixel, dissecting every word, every detail. The victim's physical features, the precise location where her body was found, the reported time of her death, all of it eerily mirrors Claire's life. The woman in the article has auburn hair, just like Claire. The article even mentions a small, almost imperceptible birthmark on her neck, just below the jawline, something Claire also has. It's a unique mark, shaped like a tiny crescent moon, but the timeline of events is the kicker. The victim was last seen at the Daily Grind, a local coffee shop Claire frequents, at a time when I distinctly remember her telling me she was meeting a new client. It was the same day she got an unexpected promotion at work. I compare what I know about Claire to what's written about the victim, and the more I read, the more it fuels my doubt. It's not just a passing resemblance. It's an uncanny replication of specific, intimate details. I can't help but analyze everything Claire says or does now, measuring her actions against the chilling facts from the article. I don't want to suspect her, not truly, but the coincidences are piling up, each one adding crushing weight to the uneasy feeling lodged in my gut. It's like every word out of her mouth and every move she makes is under a microscope, and the results are not easing my fears. It's a strange, isolating experience, doubting someone you've loved and trusted for years. My home, once my sanctuary, is now filled with an invisible tension. Even ordinary things, like Claire humming in the kitchen or the way she brushes her hair, make me question the reality of my situation. Is she the woman I married, the woman I built a life with, or someone entirely different? It's a question that haunts me during the day and keeps me awake at night, every shadow in the bedroom morphing into something menacing. The more I delve into this, the more it seems like I'm learning how to be a detective and less like a loving husband. I'm tallying up inconsistencies, collecting fragments of conversations, noting tiny changes in behavior, all while trying to maintain a facade of normality in our daily lives. It's mentally exhausting, like I'm walking on a tightrope with no safety net below. One wrong move, one misplaced word, and everything could come crashing down. I wish it were easy to dismiss all this as some elaborate coincidence, a trick of the light, or a glitch in the cloud storage. But it's not. I'm gathering more questions than answers, and my trust in Claire is eroding with each passing day. It's a terrible feeling, like you're losing your grip on something precious, something fundamental, and you're powerless to stop it. Every conversation with Claire now feels like an undercover operation, where I'm the agent and she's the subject under surveillance. We're sitting at the dinner table, the expensive porcelain and gleaming silverware a stark contrast to the churning unease within me. The topic shifts to her day at work. She talks about a big meeting she had, but it's not the Claire I know who's speaking. She usually paints a vivid picture of her office life, passionately discussing new projects or strategies, the nuances of client interactions, the small triumphs and frustrations. But now her words are flat, uninspired, almost robotic. "So tell me about your meeting," I prompt, trying to keep my voice light, casual, a little too casual. "We discussed quarterly goals," she says, taking a bite of her food as if that sums it up entirely, as if there's nothing more to add. "That's all," I press, feigning a surprised chuckle. "No challenges, no interesting debates. I remember you saying last week this particular client was notoriously difficult." Claire usually relishes intellectual conflicts and strategic discussions at her workplace. She thrives on the complexities. Now she just shrugs, her face neutral, an unreadable mask. "It was just a meeting, Alex, nothing special." This is definitely not like her. The Claire I know lives for the details, the nitty-gritty of her job that she loves sharing with me. Now, she talks as if she's reading from a script, lacking the usual warmth and excitement in her voice. It's like watching a bad actor play the role of my wife. But it's not just the conversation that's off. Other things have changed too. Subtle things that you wouldn't notice unless you were looking for them. Unless you were actively searching for the cracks in her facade. For instance, Claire's cooking, which was once an adventurous fusion of different cuisines, a joyous experimentation with spices and techniques, now leans toward bland and unremarkable. It's like she's forgotten her favorite recipes, the ones passed down from her grandmother, or her palate has radically changed overnight. She used to meticulously label her spice jars. Now they're scattered, unlabeled. She's also slipping up on words that she used to pronounce perfectly, a stickler for proper diction. Just yesterday she called a cliché a quiche, a strange, almost childlike mistake for someone so meticulous about language, someone who prided herself on her eloquence. There are other small things. A new, slightly off scent to her perfume, a faint metallic tang that wasn't there before, a subtle change in her posture, a rigidity in her shoulders I've never noticed. A different way she brushes her hair, almost too neat, too perfect. All these changes are unsettling, but what makes it worse is their collective impact. Any one of these on its own could be dismissed, written off as stress or a passing phase. But together, they form a troubling pattern, a mosaic of anomalies that point to something profoundly wrong. It's like I'm living with a version of Claire who's been tweaked in numerous small ways, each alteration making her less recognizable as the woman I fell in love with, the woman who shared my deepest dreams and fears. I'm caught in this state of continuous, low-level anxiety, a constant hum beneath my skin, always observing, always questioning, always searching, but never finding any conclusive evidence to justify my suspicions. The ambiguity is torture. I decide I have to start collecting evidence, even if it's just to convince myself that I'm going crazy and there's nothing to worry about. Every inconsistency, no matter how minor, goes into a detailed log I keep on my phone, hidden in a discrete notes app. I jot down each change I notice, recording the date, time, and context. I write down verbatim what was said during our conversations and my own raw, immediate emotional reaction to it. Every time she says something that doesn't align with the Claire I know, a notification pops up in my mind, an internal alert system screaming, "Record that." I go a step further. I start secretly recording our conversations using my phone. I feel a crushing wave of guilt doing it, a profound violation of trust, but the urge to find concrete evidence, something irrefutable, is too compelling, too desperate to ignore. I place the phone casually on the coffee table or tuck it under a cushion, hitting record when she's not looking. My hope is to capture some irrefutable proof, something that can either confirm my growing suspicions or finally, mercifully, set my mind at ease. But all I get are snippets of conversations that sound just odd enough to be suspicious, but not conclusive enough to prove anything. It's a collection of whispers, not shouts. Then comes the weekend shopping trip. We're in the grocery store, strolling down the snack aisle, a place usually brimming with chips, cookies, and all sorts of guilty pleasures that Claire and I used to debate over. Claire reaches for a bag of salt and vinegar chips from the shelf, a brand she's vocally despised for years, famously calling them inedible cardboard. I can't help but question her choice, the words escaping before I can filter them. "Since when do you eat those?" She looks at me, a blank expression on her face. "Thought I'd give them another try," she says, and tosses them into the cart with a casual flick of her wrist. My mind races. "But you've always said you hated those. Remember that road trip to the coast? You nearly threw up just from the smell." With a shrug, she pushes the cart forward. "People change, Alex. People change, that's it." My internal alarm bells are ringing so loud I'm surprised she can't hear them, ringing like a frantic car alarm in the quiet grocery store aisle. In the grand scheme of life, a bag of chips is inconsequential, trivial. But in the context of my growing paranoia, it feels monumental, a gaping hole in the fabric of her identity. It's yet another data point in a series of anomalies that are becoming harder and harder to ignore, each one a tiny, unsettling tremor. The saying goes that the devil is in the details. And in my case, Each minor inconsistency is like a tiny crack in the very foundation of my trust, slowly crumbling the edifice of our life together. What's terrifying is that these aren't gaping holes or glaring contradictions. They're just subtle changes in behavior and preference, small shifts in the woman I thought I knew better than myself. So far, every piece of evidence is inconclusive. There's a logical explanation for everything if you look at them individually. Maybe she's stressed. Maybe she's going through a phase. Or maybe, just maybe, I'm truly losing my mind, spiraling into paranoid delusion. But when I look at everything as a whole, when I lay out the collected inconsistencies like pieces of a macabre puzzle, I can't shake off the feeling that the woman I married is not the woman I'm living with now. The picture that emerges is of a hollowed-out imitation, a ghost of Claire, wearing her skin. I keep returning to the screenshot, zooming into every pixel, as if it will suddenly animate and explain what the hell is going on. The victim in the article had a distinct mole on her left cheek, just like Claire. She had the same shade of auburn hair, the same rare green eyes, and even the same job title, Senior Marketing Manager. It's uncanny, horrifyingly precise. It mentions her favorite author, her quirky habit of drawing spirals while on the phone, even the make and model of her first car. All details that perfectly align with Claire's past one day. The overwhelming, desperate need to know the truth pushes me to do something I'd never thought I'd do. Follow my own wife. She tells me she's going out for dinner with an old friend from college, someone I've never met. I don't buy it. Something in her tone is off, a subtle hesitation, or maybe it's just my imagination fueling my actions, my paranoia twisting her words. Regardless, I need to see what she's up to. I grab my car keys and head out, making sure I leave a few minutes after she does to avoid any suspicion. I find a parking spot down the street from the Golden Spoon, the upscale restaurant she mentioned, far enough not to be obvious, but close enough to keep a clear eye on the entrance. I kill the engine, the sudden silence in the car amplifying the frantic pounding of my heart. I try to blend in with the surrounding darkness, a silhouette in the night sitting in my car, hunched over the steering wheel. My mind races with worst-case scenarios. What if she's not at the restaurant? What if she sees me? The hands of the clock on my dashboard seem to crawl, making every minute feel like an hour, stretching into an agonizing eternity. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Claire emerges from the restaurant, the soft glow of the awning lights illuminating her figure. I straighten up, my eyes peeled, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest, a desperate, frantic rhythm. But she isn't alone. An unfamiliar figure, tall and gaunt, almost like a shadow detached from the surrounding gloom, joins her outside. They talk briefly, their voices too low for me to discern. Then, as if on cue, I see them exchange something. It's too small and too quick for me to identify from my distance, but the object clearly passes hands. It looks like a small, metallic data chip, reflecting the streetlights for a brief, blinding moment. As quickly as they met, they part ways. Claire walks away, her form slowly diminishing down the street, and the unknown figure disappears into the darkness, melting into the shadows. A wave of dread washes over me, cold and heavy. My hands grip the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white. I sit there, engulfed by an unsettling mix of fear, confusion, and raw betrayal. What just happened? Who was that person? And what was the object they exchanged? The questions swarm my mind like a nest of angry wasps. I pull into our driveway a few minutes later, my mind racing, my hands still shaking a bit as I turn off the car and head inside. I've got to confront Claire. I can't keep this bottled up any longer. The house is quiet, dark, and the tension in the air is palpable, at least for me. I can't shake the uneasy feeling settling deep in my gut. I hear the front door open. It's Claire coming back from her dinner. As she steps into the foyer, our eyes meet, and for a moment it's like looking at a stranger, a perfectly sculpted mask of the woman I married. "Who were you meeting tonight, Claire?" My voice is trembling, betraying the storm of emotions I'm wrestling with. I can barely keep it steady. A friend from work, she responds, almost too casually, her voice flat, devoid of the usual warmth. We had some project materials to swap. She needed the new data chip for the presentation tomorrow. Her answer is convenient, almost perfectly tailored, and while it explains the exchange I saw, it doesn't ease my concern. Something is wrong, profoundly wrong, but I can't pinpoint it, can't articulate it without sounding like a lunatic. I stand there, grappling with the intensity of my own suspicions. To accuse your wife of not being who she claims to be, based on a sense of dread and a few odd occurrences, feels absurd, unhinged. Still, I'm caught between the urgency to know the truth and the paralyzing fear of what that truth might be. So, I make a decision then and there. It's time to pull out all the stops. I need to create a situation where if she is an imposter, she won't be able to keep up her act. My mind races through our shared history, looking for a scenario, a specific memory that could trap her into revealing herself. And that's when I come up with it. I'll recreate our first date down to the smallest detail. If she fumbles even one significant, intimate fact about that night, it would be enough to solidify my fears, to shatter the illusion. It's a plan with a lot riding on it, a desperate gamble, but it's the only way to satisfy this unbearable need for the truth. Either my worries will be proven unnecessary, and I can finally breathe again, or my life is about to take a very dark, irreversible turn. The stage is set, and I'm gripping my fork like it's a life raft. The restaurant around us is the same one we visited on our very first date, right down to the low, amber lighting and the soft jazz music playing in the background, a melancholic saxophone wail that somehow amplifies my anxiety. I'm wearing a similar dark blue button-down shirt to the one I wore that night, and I've even made sure to order the same dishes we had, the pan-seared scallops for appetizers, the classic spaghetti carbonara as the main course. Remember this place, Claire? I break the ice as we sit down at our intimate, candle-lit table. My voice sounds strained even to my own ears. Of course, Alex, Claire replies, flashing what seems like a genuine, warm smile. How could I forget? You were so nervous you spilled water on your shirt. That's a good start. She got that detail right. But we're far from the finish line. We begin to eat and the food tastes like cardboard to me, utterly flavorless. I'm too on edge, too consumed by my desperate mission to enjoy it. As we move to the main course, I ease into my interrogation, carefully, subtly. So, remember how nervous you were when we first came here? I ask, stirring my pasta, avoiding her gaze. You kept adjusting your hair. She chuckles, a light, airy sound, her green eyes meeting mine. Yes, I was a mess. And you were so quiet I thought you hated me. Okay, she's holding up so far. No immediate cause for alarm yet. But the night is young. My next question focuses on another memorable detail, one that was particularly embarrassing for me. Which song was playing when I accidentally kicked over the wine bucket by our table? I ask, a wry smile on my face, hoping to project an air of playful nostalgia. She pauses, a thoughtful frown creasing her brow. Wasn't it At Last by Etta James, the one we danced to later out on the patio? I feel a momentary sense of dizzying relief. She got it. She actually got it. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong. Maybe my fears are unfounded, a product of an overactive, paranoid mind. Maybe the past few weeks have just been a stressful period, and I've imagined all the changes. But I can't back down yet. Not when the stakes are so high, not when the phantom chill of the news article still clings to me. It's time for the clincher. The question that could either seal the deal, proving my sanity or confirming my darkest nightmares. I swallow hard, my throat suddenly dry. Then I ask, my voice barely above a whisper, what did we talk about on our way home that night, Claire? Something very specific, something we were both incredibly passionate about, something that solidified our connection. Claire's eyes narrow slightly, and she hesitates for a second, a micro-expression of uncertainty flickering across her face. My heart, which had just begun to slow, surges again, a frantic flutter. Politics, she finally says, her voice flat, almost rehearsed. We talked a lot about politics early on, how our views aligned so perfectly. My heart feels like it drops to the floor, shattering into a million pieces. She's wrong, dead wrong. It wasn't politics, not that night. It was a focused and impassioned debate about the ethical implications of genetic engineering and the future of human evolution. It was a turning point in our relationship, an early indicator that our minds were as compatible as our hearts, that we could connect on a deep, intellectual level. It was the moment I truly knew she was the one. It's a glaring error, a shocking misstep in her otherwise flawless act, a discordant note in a meticulously orchestrated symphony. The chilling reality sets in, sharp and agonizing. The person sitting across from me in this romantically lit room, eating the same food we once shared as two naive, love-struck individuals, is not my wife. She looks like Claire. She almost sounds like Claire, but she isn't Claire now, I know. And it's a revelation that doesn't just turn my world upside down. It shatters it into a million irreparable fragments. The void inside me grows with each minute that passes after the dinner, a gaping maw of grief and terror, as I try to reconcile the person I've spent years with, the person I thought I knew intimately, with the stranger who just sat across from me at the restaurant, an imposter in my wife's skin. As we head home, the silence in the car is deafening, punctuated only by the hum of the engine and the frantic pounding of my heart. I make small talk, forced and brief. I cite early meetings and a hectic day ahead as reasons to end the night early. My mind is racing, a desperate scramble to figure out what to do, what action to take to either confirm or dismiss these overwhelming, horrifying suspicions, to finally unmask whatever this thing is. Then, a thought occurs to me, chillingly perfect. A wilderness retreat. The idea aligns well with recent conversations we've had. She's been mentioning wanting to go on such a trip for a while, a way to reconnect and escape the city's pressures. This could be the ideal setting for observation, a place far removed from the daily grind, where both of us would be stripped down to our basics. If there's a slip-up, a crack in this facade, it's likely to happen there, where the distractions of daily life can't serve as cover. As the idea crystallizes in my mind, I start to mentally arrange the details of this trip. Which cabin should we rent? What supplies would we need? How many days should we spend isolated in nature? The planning itself is intricate, requiring my full attention. For the first time, though, it's not just worry that fills my thoughts. It's pure, unadulterated terror. Yet I understand that I can't turn back now. Too much is at stake. Too much has been seen and suspected. I need to know who or what I've been living with, whether it brings peace or sets my life ablaze. I'll find my answers there in the unforgiving wilderness, and those answers will define the rest of my life. We arrive at the cabin after a long, grueling drive, the last hour of which was down a winding, unpaved road. It sits isolated, several miles from any neighboring town, nestled deep within a thick pine forest. The cabin is made of weathered, dark wood, and the pine trees tower around it, their dark needles a stark contrast against the gray sky, offering a blend of profound seclusion and stark natural beauty. There's not another person or structure in sight. It's just us and the vast, indifferent wilderness. However, the serene beauty of the location is in sharp contrast to the thick, suffocating tension in the air between us. Claire has been distant, even more so than in the past weeks, and it's clear she senses my suspicion, a palpable current between us. "It's beautiful here, Alex," she says as we step out of the car, her gaze fixed on the endless expanse of trees. But her voice lacks any real warmth or excitement. It's as if she's reading a line from a script, a carefully rehearsed delivery. "It's great," I answer, making a deliberate effort to keep my voice calm and neutral, avoiding any emotion that might give away my internal turmoil. "Let's get our stuff out of the car and settle into the cabin." As we start unloading our bags, the tension between us remains, almost as if it's another unseen item we've packed for the trip, weighing us down. I can feel her eyes on me occasionally, quick, darting glances, but when I look up, she quickly diverts her gaze, focusing on a distant tree or a cloud. We carry our bags inside and start unpacking. The cabin interior is simple: a living room with old, heavy furniture, a small kitchen, and a couple of bedrooms. Despite its rustic charm, every creak of the floorboards and rustle of bags seems to amplify the emotional distance between us, the growing chasm. As I place our meager food supplies in the kitchen cabinets, Claire takes her bag into one of the bedrooms. She closes the door behind her with a soft click, and I'm left alone in the living area, contemplating the strange circumstances we find ourselves in. I tell myself that the isolation here is a good thing, that it will bring the truth to light, force her hand. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't also filled with dread at what that truth might be. The solitude is a double-edged sword. After we finish unpacking, the air still thick with unspoken words, I suggest we go for a hike to explore the surroundings. Claire agrees, her voice devoid of enthusiasm, and we set out on a narrow trail that winds through the dense forest. The sky is clear, the air is crisp, and nature is all around us, raw and unfiltered. But the beauty of the wilderness can't mask the awkwardness between us. We walk mostly in silence, our conversations limited to superficial topics like the weather or the types of trees around us. Each fallen leaf we step on seems to punctuate the empty space, filling up with unspoken words and swirling suspicions. By late afternoon, we return to the cabin. I decide to start a fire in the ancient stone fireplace, thinking its warmth might add a sense of comfort, a false normalcy, to the tense atmosphere. Claire sits on the couch, scrolling through her phone, even though there's no signal out here. It's a clear avoidance tactic, a desperate attempt to create distance, and it doesn't escape my notice. The fire crackles and pops, filling the room with warmth, casting dancing shadows, but doing nothing to thaw the icy air between us. Dinner is an equally strained affair. I cook a simple meal of grilled chicken and vegetables, and we sit down to eat at a small wooden table. The food is good, but it might as well be the bark of a tree for all the enthusiasm either of us shows. I ask Claire how her day was, to which she replies with a bland, "Fine." The word hangs in the air, underlined by her lack of eye contact. After cleaning up, the dishes clinking dully, we find ourselves running out of ways to avoid each other. I suggest we watch a movie, desperate for some distraction, and Claire half-heartedly agrees. I pick an old comedy, something we both enjoyed years ago, hoping for a spark of recognition, a genuine laugh. We sit on opposite ends of the couch, a vast, invisible gulf between us, and we both laugh at the familiar scenes as the movie ends and the credits roll. But my laughter feels hollow, forced, and hers is still that strange, slightly too loud sound. As the movie ends, I feel the full weight of the day's tension bearing down on me, pressing me into the worn cushions. Claire says she's tired and heads off to bed. I stay behind in the living room, staring into the dying embers of the fire, the last vestiges of warmth fading away. Despite the physical warmth, a profound chill runs through me. I'm alone, utterly isolated, not just by the vast wilderness around me, but by the widening abyss between me and the woman I once knew, the woman who now sleeps just feet away, a stranger in my home. By the time the second day rolls around, my nerves are visibly frayed, stretched thin and raw. Claire is going through the motions, her movements precise, calculated. But there's an air of performance to her actions now. It's like she's performing a well-rehearsed script, ticking off boxes of normal behavior, a charade for my benefit. Then, when I walk into the kitchen to grab a bottle of water from the fridge, Claire is there, her back to me, looking through a kitchen drawer, ostensibly for a utensil. But as I glance at her, something inexplicable, something utterly terrifying occurs. For the tiniest fraction of a second, her features become a chaotic blur. Her head seems to twist at an impossible angle, her auburn hair ripples like static electricity, and her face distorts into something that is definitely not human, something grotesque and alien. Her skin seems to ripple, to shift, like water in a strong current, revealing faint, dark ridges beneath. It's a fleeting moment, A blink and you'll miss it horror, but it's enough. Then, as quickly as it happened, her appearance snaps back to the Claire I recognize, as if nothing out of the ordinary has taken place. The brief, horrifying glimpse erased, Claire turns to me, her face now back to its familiar, unsettlingly placid form. "Is everything okay, Alex? You look a little pale." Her voice has that same eerie, flat quality I've started to notice more frequently. A lack of genuine concern in its tone. I'm standing there, rooted to the spot, my mind spinning, reeling from what I just witnessed. Is it time to confront her? I don't know. What I do know is that whatever Claire is or has become, I just got a glimpse of it, and it's more terrifying than anything I've ever imagined. The world tilts on its axis. I just wanted some water," I reply, struggling to keep my voice steady, to stop it from cracking with sheer terror. "But I forgot it in the car. I'll go get it." Seizing the opportunity to distance myself, to escape, I exit the room as casually as I can manage, forcing myself to walk, not run. But once I'm out of her sight, once I'm around the corner of the small hallway, I break into a desperate, frantic run. Adrenaline surges through my veins, fueling my dash to the nearest bedroom. The one I'd chosen. I slammed the door shut, the ancient wood rattling on its hinges, and quickly lock it behind me, twisting the small, brass latch. My heart is still pounding, a furious drum in my chest, and my eyes dart around the small, rustic room, searching for something, anything, I can use to defend myself. Then I see it. An old, surprisingly well-maintained hunting rifle, mounted on the wall above a rustic dresser, its barrel glinting faintly in the dim light. My hands quiver uncontrollably as I take the rifle down from the wall, the cold metal surprisingly heavy in my grasp. I scour the room, my gaze frantic, and find a small box of rifle shells in the drawer of the wooden nightstand next to the bed. The gun is old, but it appears to be in working order, loaded with grim purpose. As I load the shells, my fingers shake uncontrollably, fumbling with the ammunition, almost dropping it. Just then, footsteps approach the locked door, slow and deliberate. "Alex, are you in there? Can we talk?" Claire's voice rings through the wooden barrier between us, still holding that unnerving, even tone. But can it really be Claire? My grip tightens on the rifle as I aim it at the door, my muscles rigid, my breathing shallow, ragged. "What's there to talk about?" I manage to say, attempting to mask the raw fear that trembles in my voice. "You think we should resolve this tension between us, Alex?" she asks, her voice almost pleading now, a deceptive softness. "You've been so quiet, so withdrawn." I opt for silence, not knowing how to respond, my mind a blank slate of panic. My heart pounds in anticipation, waiting, bracing for the inevitable. Then, without warning, the door handle rattles violently, once, twice. An instant later, a powerful force slams into the door, making the old wood creak and buckle inward with a sickening groan. It doesn't break entirely, but the splintering sound confirms its near collapse. "Alex, open the door." Her voice has changed, shifted. It's angrier now, deeper, more forceful, stripped of its deceptive softness. "Not Claire," I shout back, my voice laced with a desperate mixture of fear and raw urgency. And then the noise outside the door stops. An eerie, profound silence envelops the room, thick and suffocating, and my grip on the rifle tightens further, my knuckles white. The next sound I hear is far more unsettling than anything prior. It's a soft, wet squelching noise, like something profoundly unnatural reshaping, transforming, bones shifting, flesh tearing and melding. A sound that makes my stomach churn, bile rising in my throat. I can't see what's happening on the other side of that flimsy door, but the sound alone paints a vivid, horrifying picture in my mind, a grotesque metamorphosis. "Fine. You got me. I'm not Claire." The voice from the other side of the door is utterly transformed. It's no longer human. It's a raspy, guttural hiss, like gravel scraping against metal, unnatural and chilling, like nails on a chalkboard multiplied 1,000-fold. The feeling that washes over me is a bizarre cocktail of dread, a strange, hollow relief, and a new, steely determination. At least now the cards are on the table. The illusion is shattered. My grip on the rifle is so firm that my knuckles have turned white. I can feel the cold steel pressing against my palm, and its weight is somewhat reassuring, a solid anchor in a world turned fluid. I stand there, gun aimed at the battered door, listening intently. The creature's footsteps gradually recede, the squelching sound growing fainter until it's almost inaudible. It's moving away, retreating. But to where? Is it planning its next move, biding its time, or simply retreating, having achieved its objective? In this moment of eerie calm, a terrifying realization hits me like a ton of bricks. My life, the life I knew, is irrevocably altered. The person I loved, the life I built, the very fabric of my reality, they were all illusions. There's no going back to normal after this. The concept of normal has been shattered into a million pieces, and I'm left standing in the debris, clutching a rifle. I have no idea if I'll make it out of this cabin alive, if I'll ever see another human face that I can trust, or learn what became of the real Claire. The uncertainty is terrifying, yet it fuels me. The one sure thing is that I can't stay locked in this room forever. I have to confront this thing, understand it if I can, and end it, one way or another. I slowly, carefully unlock the door, the click of the latch unnaturally loud in the silence. I step out of the bedroom, rifle raised and at the ready, my heart pounding, a frantic drum in my chest. But I can't turn back now. I have to confront this entity, whatever it is, and reclaim some semblance of my reality. I find it in the living room, casually sitting on the couch, its form still vaguely resembling Claire but subtly, horrifyingly off. Its posture is too rigid, its eyes too wide and unblinking like a doll. It's as if it's waiting for me, patient and utterly devoid of fear. "So, you know," it says, looking up. Its voice still has traces of Claire's, but it's as if someone turned the empathy dial way down, removed all warmth, leaving only a hollow echo. "Took you long enough." "Why?" I demand, my voice raw. "What are you? Where is Claire?" The questions tumble out of me, desperate, uncontrolled. One after another dot, it tilts its head slightly, an unnervingly mechanical gesture. I am an observer, a collector of experiences. I have been studying humans for decades. Claire is no longer necessary. "You killed her," I spit out, tightening my grip on the rifle, the word killed tasting like ash in my mouth. My finger hovers over the trigger. "It was not my intention to harm her," it hisses, a strange, almost clinical curiosity in its alien tone. "I absorbed her, her experiences, her emotions, her memories, everything that made her Claire. I've been many people, lived many lives, but I must say I particularly enjoyed being Claire. She had a good life, a rich tapestry of emotions and connections." "And what about me?" I ask, my voice filled with a burning bitterness, a profound disbelief. "Was I just another study subject for you, a variable in your perverse experiment?" "In the beginning, yes," it says, its gaze unsettlingly direct, almost dissecting me. "But then something happened that I did not anticipate. I found Julie's life enriching, particularly the intimacy of your shared existence. And you are a significant part of that life. I didn't want to harm you, not physically." I aim the rifle squarely at the entity, my finger hovering over the trigger, shaking. It's all too much. The horror, the betrayal, the sheer, unimaginable violation. I want to pull it, end this nightmare once and for all, wipe it from existence. But I can't. Because as much as this thing is not Claire, it looks like her, sounds somewhat like her. The last vestiges of my love, my memories, hold my hand back, a desperate, futile refusal to accept the truth. My arms shake uncontrollably, and I lower the gun, still not pulling the trigger. Seeing this, the entity stands up, its movements too fluid, too precise. "You should go now, Alex," it says, its voice devoid of emotion, a mere suggestion. "You are no longer a suitable subject for direct observation. I don't need any more encouragement." I turn and bolt out of the cabin, the rifle clutched tightly in my hand. Every rustling leaf, every snapping twig, every shadow heightens my panic as I run blindly through the dense forest, my lungs burning, heart hammering. Finally, I reach the car, my breath ragged, and scramble inside. locking the doors behind me, fumbling with the ignition shaking violently. I take out my phone and dial the authorities, my fingers clumsy. When the police arrive, their headlights flood my car with light, snapping me out of my daze. They find me in the driver's seat, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly they ache. I attempt to explain the bizarre and terrifying events that occurred in the cabin, the imposter, the transformation, the chilling confession. I tell them about Claire, or the thing that looked like Claire, the squelching sounds, the creature's words. The officers exchange skeptical glances as I speak, their faces unreadable in the harsh light. One of them takes notes, his pen scratching against his pad, but I can tell they don't believe a word I'm saying. They decide to investigate, heading toward the cabin with flashlights and caution, their footsteps crunching on the gravel. When they return, their demeanor is different. They look puzzled, disturbed even, but not convinced. They confirm that the cabin is in disarray, with splintered wood on the door and overturned furniture, but it's the kind of damage they attribute to wildlife, suggesting a large bear might have broken in. There's no sign of the entity I described. No blood, no body, no evidence to support my story, nothing that definitively points to a non-human presence. One of the officers informs me that they have to take my rifle into custody. It's now evidence, although for what exactly they can't say. There's no body, no intruder, and no other witnesses to my wild tale. The subsequent report categorizes the incident as an animal attack, noting the damaged cabin and my shocked, hysterical state as circumstantial evidence. My account is deemed unreliable, the product of trauma. After the incident, returning to my old life is out of the question. Every familiar face and place now carries an undertone of menace, a silent question mark, morphing my perception of reality into a twisted funhouse mirror. The grocery store cashier, my neighbor walking his dog, even my own family, they could all be imposters, new vessels for the entity or other entities like it. The concept of trust is obliterated, a scorched earth in my mind. How can I trust anyone when the woman I loved, the woman I shared my life with, turned out to be something unimaginable, a temporary skin suit for a consciousness that merely observed and collected? So, I make the decision to distance myself, physically and emotionally. I leave my job, sell my house, sever ties with people I've known for years, offering vague, unconvincing excuses. I move to a different part of the country, miles away from anyone who could recognize me, anyone connected to my past. My new life consists of a series of small towns, each one a temporary refuge. I avoid forming connections, skipping town when people get too familiar, living under various aliases. My social interactions are reduced to brief, impersonal exchanges, and my world is populated by individuals whose names and faces I won't remember for long, transients in my transient existence. But despite the constant change of scenery, the anonymity of the crowd, loneliness envelops me. Everywhere I go, the harrowing experience follows, its memory burned into my psyche, a cold, unyielding scar. I can't shake the feeling of being watched, of being studied by eyes I cannot see, by a consciousness that now holds the intimate memories of my life, the life it absorbed from Claire. The entity might be gone from that cabin, but its presence lingers, an invisible shadow cast over my every waking moment. A constant, gnawing dread, doubt, and suspicion are my constant companions, like grim, silent bodyguards. I scrutinize everyone from the waiter who serves my food to the mechanic who fixes my car, searching for that subtle shift, that fleeting abnormality, that telltale sign of an imposter. I can't shake the gnawing question that echoes in my mind with every new face. Are they who they claim to be? In this way, my life is fractured into fragments of what it once was. The dreams and ambitions I had are replaced by an ongoing, desperate quest for something elusive: safety, understanding, or maybe just the blissful ignorance that was stolen from me. I'm forced to assemble a new life from the remnants of the old, a life that is unrecognizable and filled with questions that have no answers. A chilling, silent surveillance of a world that now seems to be made entirely of reflections and lies. What was the most chilling detail in this story? Share your thoughts below and follow for more unsettling tales.